Talk less, listen more, and here's why. Hey, this is Bart Smith. How you doing out there? Yeah, I'm going to be doing the talking, so you'll be doing the listening. But seriously, though, this is such a great perspective and behavioral trait, characteristic about yourself that you should totally strengthen. And I remind myself of this often, to talk less and listen more. In fact, I've done a lot of interviews, and when you get interviewed, it's important to shut up and let the host ask questions and not keep talking or talk over them. Each party in that interview maintains an element of respect so that each party is heard wholly from start to finish. There's no overlap. Well, there's some overlapping, but it's very small. So that kind of got me into the mindset of talking less and listening more, just because I was able to shut my mouth and you know what? I've said enough. I'm going to listen. And then I'm going to listen more. In fact, when you go networking, you're meeting new people for the first time. One of the greatest skills you can have is to not talk so much. And in one of my books, 3 Simple Networking Tactics, it isn't so much what you say about yourself, it's the questions you ask. And so when you can listen more to what other people do and what they're into, you're going to learn a lot more. And guess what? They will qualify or disqualify themselves if you're going to work with them. Don't worry about you getting to know me. I want to get to know you. I need to know if I like you, want to work with you, etc., etc., etc. So I love this. Talk less, listen more. Here's why. What is the benefit of talking less and listening more? Well, for starters, you don't speak prematurely or say something inappropriate when you should be listening. In certain situations, it's better to just put your own foot in your own mouth than to realize later that you might have said the wrong thing at the wrong time. Who's guilty of that? I'm raising my hand. Mark Twain, the great author and historian, once said, "It's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt." So true. But what's more, thinking before you speak allows you time to craft a relevant response with a few choice words. This comes in handy when you really want to make an impact. And that's something right there. Do you want to be heard, or do you want to make an impact? Fire hosing a spray of words is rarely productive when you could say the same thing in just a few words or short sentences. Another time to use the listen more, talk less technique is when you're in trouble. Big time. Depending on the kind of trouble you're in, But allow the other person that might be speaking on your behalf to attest to your character or your motivation. Sometimes it's just best to face a tense situation with honesty and, of course, take responsibility for it. But the rule should be 99% listening and 1% talking. If you want to make it 90-10, 80-20, I get it. But you'll get your chance to be heard if you are patient and respectful. And that thing about being in trouble, listening to what's going on, especially if you, for example, you got into a car accident. Say little to anyone, unless it's your insurance agent. But listen, and listen to everything. You're in a relationship. There's arguing. Don't say so much. Listen more. Speak when spoken to. And keep your responses short and to the point to prevent saying the wrong thing and getting yourself in more trouble. Seriously, calmly take that lashing. Look them in the eye to show them you're listening, and then speak only when necessary and with carefully chosen words. For example, "You're right. What I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Here's why," and explain. Or, "I only did what I did for these reasons," and then put a period after those reasons, and then shut up. Seriously, shut up. Afterwards, the person you got in trouble with, for example, afterwards, the person you got in trouble with might say or think, "Wow, I spoke my mind. They listened. I was pretty long-winded. They didn't put up a fight or respond with much, but instead, I really think they meant they were sorry and learned their lesson. Wow. I feel good about that discussion. I kind of feel bad that I came down on them so hard." They, you, really did listen and you listened well to what they were saying. I'll give you an example. It's kind of a funny one that comes up, but I remember once I got in trouble when I was a kid in school. Oh, I don't know, parents were away, I did something, and they came home and they chewed me out and said, hey, Bart, did you know, you weren't supposed to do that, blah, 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 blah. What do you have to say for yourself? And I was like 17 or something. And I said, I paused to draw them in. You're right. I should have known better. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Whoa. They were pretty dumbfounded. They were like, well, gosh, you really do sound like you mean it. All right. Well, your grades are good and, you're in sports and you're a good kid and, teachers like you, blah, blah, blah. All right. But listen, seriously, don't do that again, son. Okay. That's not good. Like, all right. No, I get it. You're right. I'm sorry. Simple. By listening more and talking less, you win so much. Granted, while every situation is different, I think you get the idea. Talk less, listen more. Even if it's tough on you to not respond with words or what you'd like to say in the heat of the moment, best to just zip it and respond with silence. That's communication too, silence. Understanding and the idea that you will do the right thing next time. That is, unless you have something specific to say in your defense. Then, of course, state your claim. Still, keep it short and to the point. It's like being in a courtroom. In one instance, the more you talk, the more you incriminate yourself, or the more you lose the case. But if you can choose your words carefully and you're spot on, then those others who are involved with the court case, like the jury, the other attorneys, the judge, they're going to listen to that very short explanation you gave, and it has so much punch and pact and power. Good stuff. By listening more and talking less, you push the other person to talk even more. In some situations, that's a good thing. Suppose you wanted to get the truth out of someone, or you just wanted to learn more about a specific subject. Maybe something's going on with the other person emotionally that they really need to get out and be heard. If you're doing all the talking, how is the other person going to spill the beans? They can't. When I'm dealing with someone who has something going on the inside, I zip it. It's tough because, you want to talk. It's natural. But I just say, Bart, if you just zip it, you just bite your tongue and just pause, they, by natural, will open up and start spilling their beans even more. And then you say, really? Is there more? Tell me more. Are you finished? I don't think you are. Tell me more. And you prod for more. In another example, try not to ask too many questions. Instead, ask one or two questions, or make an effective statement such as, so tell me about topic X and what's going on. And then, even when you feel you want to say more, take a break and allow the other person to respond. Maintain silence and listen for a long period of time. Your silence can and might be deafening to their ears, yes. No one likes to sit in a quiet room without some form of noise going on. Watch as the other person hints that it's your turn and that you could respond. But don't give in to those subtle suggestions. Instead, remain quiet until the other person starts talking again, unloading more of what's on their mind. This technique really helps you get to the bottom line in time and whatever BS might be going on in their lives. You're bound to get more out of someone with silence than with a barrage of questions and prodding and come on, hurry up, come on. Just wait patiently for them to spill it out and volunteer and everything. As I mentioned, listening gives you more information. Can you learn or even think when you're talking? No. When your mouth is running, your brain shuts down. Can you think while someone else is speaking? Yes. You can think because your mouth is not moving. Your ears and mind are wide open, taking in and processing all that kinds of information. Allow the other person to speak. This can only work in your favor. The more time you have to think about your response or no response, the better. Think about it. Speakers speaking, information going out of their mouth. And the audience listens, information going in for processing. I know, sounds like basic stuff, right? But seriously, apply this more often than not wherever you go and see what happens. You might just be surprised about what you will learn and the information that people share because you're just maintaining more of the silent card on your end. Plus, the more you don't speak, but listen and respond with specific, well-crafted responses, the more you come across as someone who is caring, understanding, maybe even a deep thinker, and someone who just doesn't speak because they like to hear the sound of their own voice. There's some people that just rattle around, talk. Oh my gosh, shut up. Because they just like to hear their own, I don't even know if they like to hear their own voice. They just like to talk. It's like a motor mouth. I'm trying to think of somebody. Who is like that. I'm sure I can, and maybe I am right now, but man, I do not like to hang around those people. And that's something else too. You don't come across as cool, calm, collected, when you are silent. People who go on and on talking incessantly are so annoying. They don't listen. They don't learn. They can't get any feedback because you can't get a word in edgewise. They just run off at the mouth until they run out of air. Then, when you try to respond, you can't get a word in edgewise either. They cut you off before you can adequately express yourself. Then the cycle starts all over again. How does this make you feel? Disrespected, frustrated, angered. Talk less, listen more is still the rule. And when people do talk like that around me, maybe they're on the phone or something and they just blah, 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 I will literally tell them, hey, I'd like to talk. Don't talk over me. Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay? Can it? And sometimes I'll throw in something like that too. Zip it. Or maybe they'll be talking, and it's like, okay, I get that. Hey, I get it. I hear it. Zip it. Shh. Zip. Oh, control your mouth, people. Pausing is probably one of the best techniques you can use in any conversation to assist you in listening more and the other person talking more, if that's your intent. Because sometimes I do want you to talk more. Just keep talking. Just spill the beans. I want to know it all. Oh yeah. Pausing adds emphasis to whatever it is that you want to say. Pausing makes you look good because it shows you're not in a rush to talk over the other person's words. Pausing helps bring out more from the other person in the conversation because it leaves the floor open for that person to keep talking and grab that mic. Try this. Let the other person finish their sentences completely. Then you pause before responding. Watch what happens. Practice pausing for 5 to 10 seconds. That's all you need. On the phone or in person after listening to someone say something, it takes a little practice to get good at this. But if you can get really good at this, trust me, you can use this to your advantage throughout life. It's so amazing. But pausing can really become one of the best tools you can rely on in any conversation and with anybody. Your timing and hesitation can be powerfully effective, adding meaning and influence to a worthy conversation. For example, let's say you're interacting with the police. What are you going to do? You're going to run your mouth off? In fact, in 2 situations, I remember I was living in Newport Beach, California, down on the peninsula. And Friday, Saturday night, what do? You go down to the bars. You have a good time. Well, I went down there on one occasion and then a separate occasion with my friends. Well, the police down there are managing a lot of activities and they don't have time for lip. And in both situations, I was walking with my friends, and whenever I would see the police, drive up near, or I suspected, I bet that's an undercover cop, I kind of stopped in my tracks and I let my buddies get up 5-10 feet ahead of me because I saw what was going to come down. And sure enough, a police officer would approach them and say, hey guys, XYZ, 1, 2, 3, I don't know what. And my friends, in their tipsy, quasi-drunken state, they would start getting lippy with the cops. Well, in both cases, the cops took them away. And I mean it. They like, look, you guys are public, drunken fools. We've got a code about this. Or they cited them, with a ticket. But I just stood there for 10 minutes, maybe on my phone, faking like I was busy or something, keeping my mouth shut because I knew better. And so when you're dealing with authority figures like that, we got to let them kind of, control the scene and let them do their investigations, and stuff like that. And the worst thing you could do is open your mouth and start blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, shut up. So, lastly, the person who does most of the talking really isn't in control of the conversation. So while I might let those officers do their talking and questioning, and then my buddies are just mouthing off, I'm the one being quiet. I'm the one learning and benefiting from this whole scenario. I'm learning how each party operates, what to do, what not to do. And then when the police come to me to say, hey, are you with these guys? And I remember this one too. And I said, when you come down, I live on the peninsula. So when you come down to these places, you tend to meet everybody. So I do know them. But they said to me, you've been very well behaved. We appreciate your cooperation. You may go. Thank you. So lastly, the person who does most of the talking really isn't in control of the conversation. More often, it's the other way around. Why so? Well, if you're asking the right questions, listening, and allowing the other person to respond, guess who's controlling the conversation? You are. So, what's the bottom line? Well, talk less. Pause throughout the conversation. Listen more. Do more thinking. Ask more questions. Ramble? Well, maybe. Stop fire hosing people to death. Stop rambling if you do. Pause and allow people to respond to what you have to say every few minutes. Don't go on and 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 on. Speak for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and then force yourself to be quiet to give them a chance. Don't hog the microphone in the conversation. Allow others to get in on what you have to say. Keep your talking points to bite-sized word patterns, making them easy to respond to. That's a big no-no when it comes to like interviews or just talking to people, or you're working with clients. Let's say a client just rattles on and on and on about their wish list. I need this done and 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 this. And let me tell you a story. Okay, you've just mentioned like 10 things I have to respond to. So you're going to have to shut up for like a half hour. So you see why it's important to talk in sound bites, in little bits that people can respond to and have fun. It's like a tennis match. Imagine playing tennis with somebody and all you did was just bounce the ball on your side with your racket and ball. You're just bouncing it. The other side's not getting a chance to play ball. Same thing. Look, think before you speak. Take time crafting your responses while the other person talks. So when it's your turn, every word you speak has meaning, punch, impact, influence, and leaves the kind of impression on people that really lasts a lifetime. I'll never forget what you said to me when... Your words really made an impact on me. Wow, thank you. See? And I only said a few things to really make that kind of impact. In fact, I was just on the phone just before this audio recording, talking to a client who purchased some of my cookies. And instead of going on and on, oh, I'm great, oh, yeah. No. I just mentioned like one word in this sentence. Well, Bart, can you tell me, what are your cookies like? Why are they so, And I said, well, my cookies are orgasmic. They're like drinking Merlot. They go down slow, and they are so full-bodied. I just paused after I said those few words. Way more impact than, well, let me tell you about them. Well, what I do is I mix the No, I don't even want to talk like that. In fact, if you've been listening to all these audio programs, what do you think about how I've been reading them to you? Clearly, almost the subconscious could memorize almost everything you've heard if you've heard them all, or just this one, or whatever, because things were entered into your mind in bits and pieces, not some fire hose, run on Niagara Falls kind of talk. No. So, How would you like to be the kind of person to receive that kind of response from people? They might not openly say it to you. And do you really care? Man, not really. You know your truth and what's going on. Set the tone for every conversation going forward by talking less, asking more questions, listening more, and for all the right reasons. Whew. Wow. What do you think about that? Talking less and listening more, and all the benefits that go with it. How will you start crafting your language and speaking to people, whether they're family, friends, neighbors, customers, clients, coworkers, you name it? How will you start talking differently now that you know the power and the impact you could have with pauses, speaking less and, listening more? Tell me about it in the chat box area below. I want to see and know what you're up to and how it's improved your language. Because I bet some of you out there might say, Bart, you're right. Now that I think about it, I do kind of talk a lot. I'm going to pull back some. I'm going to think more about what I want to say. I'm going to use pauses more. And then you're going to come back to me and write in the comment section, Bart, I tried it. I used pauses more. I listened. I prodded them to so what else? Keep talking. Tell me more. I used it. Oh, I received 50% more, 100% more information. Wow. And the other person thought I was a great person to talk to because I listened so well. There you go. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already a Bart Smith World citizen, and enter my world. Learn all this stuff. It'll make your life rock. Hit that like button, and hey, make it a great day. I hope you are having an awesome BS-free day every day, as best we can, right? Totally. Hey, I'll see you in the next audio.